right, let's talk about weight loss. It's a world where, let's be honest, bad advice seems way more common than actual success stories. And here's the thing, the myths you've been told might be the very reason you're feeling stuck. So let's get into it. Just really think about this for a second. If you could actually just do a bunch of crunches and melt away belly fat, then yeah, every single professional athlete would have a rock solid six pack. But they don't, do they? And the reason is simple. The actual science of how your body loses fat is completely different from what you've probably heard. We're about to tear down the biggest weight loss myths you still believe. And look, this isn't just stuff for beginners. These myths are absolutely everywhere. They get pushed by social media influencers, repeated in gyms. They've become so common, we just kind of accept them as truth. It's no wonder so many of us feel like we're spinning our wheels. You know what's really telling, though? It's who you don't see on this list. You won't find elite athletes or top sports doctors falling for this stuff. Why? Because they operate on a completely different system, one that's actually backed by science. So let's dive into what they know that maybe you don't. So first things first, let's go right back to that whole six-pack thing. This is probably the biggest, most stubborn myth out there. This idea that you can just pick a spot on your body and burn the fat off of it. I mean, this is the promise behind thousands of workout programs and those late-night infomercials, right? Can you really do endless crunches and leg raises to specifically destroy the fat on your stomach? So, there's an official name for this idea. It's called spot reduction. And let me be perfectly clear, it is a complete and total myth. The idea that doing ab workouts will specifically burn the fat covering your abs is, scientifically speaking, just plain false. Here's the deal. Your body just doesn't work that way. The research is crystal clear on this. When you exercise, your body needs energy, and it gets that energy by pulling from fat stores all over your body, not just from the muscles you happen to be working at that moment. It's your genetics and your hormones that decide where the fat comes off first. So yeah, ab exercises are great for building strong core muscles, but they will not magically melt the layer of fat on top of them. And you know, this whole idea of targeting fat opens up a whole new can of worms when it comes to workout myths. We've been taught to measure our effort in some pretty misleading ways. Come on, we've all been there, right? You finish a workout, you're absolutely drenched, your shirt is soaked, and you feel like you just conquered the world. All that sweat has to be the fat just pouring out of your body, right? Nope, not even close. That popular idea that sweat is fat crying, it's a fun t-shirt slogan, but that's about it. Scientifically, sweat is just your body's air conditioning system. It's releasing water to cool you down. Any weight you lose is just water weight. And guess what? It comes right back the second you have a glass of water. So if it's not coming out in your sweat, where does the fat actually go? Okay, this is where things get really fascinating. Believe it or not, research from the British Medical Journal has shown that the vast majority of fat you lose is actually breathed out. It's converted into carbon dioxide. That's right, the main way fat leaves your body is through your lungs, every time you exhale. Okay, so if we can't target fat and sweating doesn't really matter for fat loss, then the answer must be to just run on a treadmill for hours to burn as many calories as possible, right? Well, this next myth is maybe the most important one to understand because it's the reason so many people get frustrated and quit. Here's the huge problem with doing endless amounts of cardio. It can cause a massive spike in a hormone called ghrelin. You might know it as the hunger hormone. So you go for that long run, you burned a decent amount of calories, but then your body cranks up the ghrelin, making you ravenously hungry later. You can easily eat back everything you burned and then some without even realizing what's happening. And this is exactly why the pros train smarter, not just longer. They make strength training a priority to build muscle, which revs up your metabolism 24/7. Then they combine that with shorter, more intense cardio sessions. This way, they get all the heart health benefits without that massive hormonal backlash that makes you want to eat everything in sight. And you know, talking about hormones is the perfect segue into our next topic, because we all know you can't outtrain a bad diet, and the world of nutrition is just as flooded with myths as the world of exercise. Let's tackle a really common one, the idea that starving yourself is the quickest way to get lean. The science tells us the exact opposite is true. When you skip meals, your body has no idea when it's going to get fuel again, so it kind of panics. It goes into what's called conservation mode, slowing your metabolism way down to hold on to energy. This actually makes it harder to lose fat. And then, of course, there's the billion-dollar supplement industry promising a magic pill. The myth is that these fat burners will just melt the fat right off you. but the science from actual controlled studies is pretty clear. Most of these pills are just really expensive caffeine. Sure, they'll raise your heart rate and make you feel a little jittery, but they have almost zero direct impact on fat loss. It always comes back to your overall calorie balance. Okay, wow. So, spot reduction is a lie. Sweat is just water. Hours of cardio can actually make you hungrier, and skipping meals or popping fat burner pills can totally backfire. So that leaves us with the most important question of all, doesn't it? If all that common advice is wrong, what in the world are we actually supposed to be doing? This brings us to our final and honestly most crucial section. This is the good stuff. This is how elite athletes and people who get real lasting results do it. They don't rely on hacks or tricks. They build a system. And this is that system. It's not one thing. It's 4 pillars that all work together. Number 1, consistent nutrition, fueling your body properly, not starving it. 2, strength training. Building muscle is the single best way to boost your metabolism long term. 3, quality sleep. This is non-negotiable for keeping those hunger hormones like ghrelin in check. And finally, number 4, balancing your hormones through smart training and good recovery, not by just running yourself into the ground. Each part supports the others. It's the whole package that gets results. So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this. Your body is an incredibly complex biological machine. Getting results isn't about finding the latest hack you saw on Instagram. It's about understanding the science and working with your biology, not fighting against it. And that brings us to the end. But I want to leave you with this question. Just think about it for a second. Looking back at everything we covered, from the crunches to the sweat to the cardio, which one of these myths had you fooled? Because just being aware of it, well, that's the first real step to finally getting the results you've been working for.